Hi, I'm Beth, and today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable wall pocket organizer. You can store your stuff in style and match your decor of your sewing room with this project. First, you'll want to cut your fabrics, and all the detailed cutting instructions are in the download. Check the video description for that. So we're using the X's and O's line, which is this purple, and the Simply Neutral line from Northcott. So we have this gray, and that's going to be the back of our pocket, and the purple is going to be the front. So these are 10 by 10.5 inch squares, and we're going to put them right sides together, and we'll sew along the top edge, and that's the 10.5 inch side. Once you've sewn that seam, press the seam toward the backing of your pocket, which in our case is the gray. Now we're taking our piece of fleece, and this is 9 3/4 by 10.5, and we're going to put that inside our sewn piece and then fold that in half and press that. Line all those edges up really nice, and then we can add some pins in here. Next, we'll quilt the pocket unit. So this is just to hold all these layers in place, and we're just going to do an X from corner to corner. This kind of ties in our theme with the X's and O's line, and it just is really simple to do, just a straight stitch. So we're going to mark that first so that we can follow those when we are quilting. So we're just using our erasable marker here and just drawing a line from the corner to the corner. So we marked the back side of our pocket unit just because it shows up easier on the gray than the purple. And now we've got our walking foot on the machine, and we're just going to stitch this out. Next, to create the dimension of the pockets, we're going to create a pleat. So along the bottom edge, and that's the raw edge, we're going to measure over and make a mark at 1 inch and then at 2 inches from both of the edges. Next, you'll take your pocket lining, and this is an 8.5 by 10.5 inch rectangle, and I did match that fabric to the backing of the front of the pocket. And what we're doing is creating the pleat. So the way we found that it worked easiest was actually to line up one side, and we're just using some Wonder Clips here too. It just kind of is a little easier to maneuver around those. And then match up your line. So fold the 2 inch mark to the 1 inch mark. And then you can clip that. And then just make sure you're still lined up with the bottom of the backing piece. So same thing on the other side. Match up the side edges. And then fold your 2 inch mark to meet up with your 1 inch mark. And then clip that. And you can add a few more clips to make sure that this is nice and aligned, especially on the bottom where you have the pleats. Next, we're going to baste the pocket front to the lining. So we're sewing around the sides and the bottom, and we're doing a 1/8 inch seam on that. For a basting stitch, you want like a 4 to 4.5 millimeter length. That way, if those stitches show when you're finished with your project, you can pull them out easily. And we did find it was easier to start on the bottom of the pocket. That way your pleats get nice and even. So that's your completed pocket unit. You'll repeat those steps to make the number that you would like in your finished wall hanging. We're making 6. Next, we'll lay out our pocket units with our sashing. So we've got 2.5 inch sashing squares, and then the verticals are 2.5 by 10.5, and the horizontals are 2.5 by 8.5. So you'll lay those all out. We've already assembled the top part of our wall organizer, so now we'll sew the rest of these together in rows. So now we'll start sewing these together. And don't forget to change your stitch length back to the regular stitch length. So we've joined our rows, and now we can add our sashing strip to our pocket unit and join the rest of them together to complete our wall unit top. So we've completed putting the top of our organizer together, and now we're going to layer it for quilting. So we have our backing and batting, and we've cut these 8 inches larger than our finished top. And we've laid our backing piece down right side down on our table. And we're going to grab our spray baste from Thermoweb and then give it a light coat. And we're just doing half at a time just to make it a little easier. And then smooth that out. So if you get these little bubbles, it is repositionable, so you can peel it back and then smooth that out again. And then do the other side. Once you've basted the backing and the batting, now it's time to do the top of our wall organizer. Now that we've basted, we're ready to get started quilting. So we've put our walking foot back on our machine, and we are going to use the extension table. And this comes with the Janome 3160 QDC. So you take off the accessory case and then just slide on the extension. This just gives you a little more support when you're working with larger pieces. So we're going to quilt horizontally and vertically in our sashing strips, and we're going to just go right in the middle. So we've set up our guide so we can just use that to line up along the edge. Once you've quilted it, you can trim the edges and add your binding. Once you've added the binding, now all you have to do is hang it up and fill it with your favorite supplies.